I know I was already here on a Tuesday, but it's Wednesday and this is the normal night, so here we go. I have the perfect guest for this evening. Ardre Orie is joining me. Ow! Ow, 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 ow. Wada. Hello, people of the world and the come up universe. It's the come up. All right, folks, I want you to take a moment right now to just center yourself. Let go of whatever you've been thinking about. Um, in the past 2 days, it's been a lot. Me and Audrey were talking about that a little bit. So just let it go. Let it be. Let it be free. And we're just going to keep on moving. I'm super excited that you're here and joining me. I am going to just get into it because I know that our minds are in a few places tonight. Ardre Orie is an incredible guest, the perfect guest for this moment. I didn't know, but it happened. I always say this. I don't think it is the Black woman's responsibility to do anything for anyone in the world, but the world will not be changed without Black women, and I believe that firmly. And this is a Black woman that is out here like changing the world. She writes books. She's a publisher of books. She teaches folks how to write books that want to write books. She's amplifying Black voices, and I want to amplify hers. Founder of 13th and Joan Publishing Company, Ardre Orie. Hey.
Hello.
How,
Hey.
how are you?
How are you?
We're
on the same wavelength.
I feel that. Like, really, like, it was. I'm so happy I get this chance to talk to you, because we've never met before. But when
I know, we have.
right, I feel like I know you. I know I don't, and you know that I don't.
I know.
But when I heard your story, when it was like when you were presented, I was like, she's incredible. How do I not know this human? And 13th and Joan is based in Chicago, yeah.
Yes. Chi-town.
And that's where I've been for like the past 3 years doing the theater, TV, film situation. So that's right. So that's where I'm sitting. I'm in my closet in Chicago. That's where you meet me now.
Wow. I love it. Okay, we'll have to meet downtown then.
Yes. Okay. I just want to start at the beginning and then go to the end and then stop. I'm so intrigued by your story. What I mean, your story is so fascinating because you started as an educator. And is that kind of what fueled your passion for books?
You know what? It's crazy. I actually, my passion started at age 10. I wrote and published my first book at the age of 10. I had a teacher that came into class one day, into my regular class, and this was another teacher, and she said, Miss Adams, that was my name at the time, can you please come with me? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble again for talking because that's what she does, right? And when I got with her name was Dr. Harris, and she took me to a different classroom, and she said, you know what, we kind of feel like you need some additional things to be doing that spark your interest, so I want you to create something. And she gave me the freedom. She said, create whatever you want to create. You just have to create it. You have to decide what it's going to be, how it's going to present to the world. So she said, you can draw, you can paint, you can whatever. And I said, well, of course, I'll write something. That seems very natural to me. And she just kept asking me questions. So what are you going to do with it after you write it? You know, who are you going to include? What's it going to be about? And so that led me to write about, which is very crazy, but led me to write. I felt like at the time there were not a lot of Black women role models in my community that I could immediately identify and girls like me could identify. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to showcase them because I know that they're here, and I'm going to interview these women, and I'm going to write a book. And so after I wrote the book, she's like, okay, well, what's next? So I'm like, well, maybe I'll publish it. I didn't even know what publishing meant. At that time, publishing it meant getting it spiral bound at Kinko's, which shows my age because it's no longer even Kinko's, it's FedEx. But whatever. So got it printed, got several copies, started to assemble a book signing, and lo and behold, at that book signing, press and media came out, and the whole school stopped for like just a moment. And I was like, are y'all serious? You mean because I wrote something, I created an assignment, you're gonna.
Wow.
So after it was over, I remember my mom coming to my room, and when she came to my room, she had a handful of money, and she said, here you go. And I was like, what is this? And she's like, this is your money from your book sales. And I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And she said, whatever you want to do with it, you've earned it. So that night, I learned two things. I learned that stories make people stop and pay attention. It's something that we value. And then I also learned that they could be monetized. So I've been writing for over 30 years, but that was me, aligning with purpose. I just didn't know it. So at 10 years old, that's when it started.
Wow, that's amazing. I've similarly. So I started doing theater when I was 6. And I never left. I just kind of like it was just like a second nature type thing for me. And now like my career's
Yes.
grown, and I've been able to use it to teach people and have conversations and stop people with stories, and I love that. I love what you're saying there.
Yeah,
Um,
storytelling. Absolutely.
so why was it important for you to give that power of stopping folks with story to so many others with your publishing company? Like, why is that a direction you wanted to go in?
It came from pain. I grew
Mm,
up in a home that, the story was going well, was in a single parent home, actually, just my mother and I. And she really sacrificed her entire life to raise me. So eventually she found love. And the last thing I wanted to do was stand in the way of that because I knew how much she had sacrificed for me. The love that she found, though, was a love that didn't love her back. And so it was, domestic violence. There was a lot of violence in my home, a lot of bloodshed. And it just caused me a lot of pain because I was kind of the protector. I really just recently became not afraid to say that I was really at a place where I thought that I might have to sacrifice my life to save hers. That was really where I was living and breathing in the space that I was in. So I really didn't see much for myself beyond maybe middle school if it had ended there, if I had to do something to save my mom. So got past that. Well, we got past that. And then I went off to college, majored in education. But I just held that in for so long. It was house business. There are things, especially in our community, that we just keep to ourselves.
yep.
You just don't talk about that. You sweep it under the rug. You act like everything is okay. When someone asks you if you're okay, you say, absolutely, things are fine. And
Mm,
so that held a lot, it weighed on me, and I just didn't know it. And I didn't know that I was traumatized until I became an adult. So as an adult, I recognized that not only was I traumatized from the domestic violence in my home, but I was also traumatized from the loss of not having a father. And they say
mm,
you can't miss what you don't have, but you do know that something is missing. And so I
mhm.
always felt that. I just didn't acknowledge it because I was fine, right?
Right.
So when I got to that point, I decided to write a book after my, launching my entrepreneurship journey, et cetera, et cetera. And in this book, I was writing about 21 women and teen girls, and they were non-traditional beauty. So they were someone who was dealing with alopecia. It was something we were not talking about at the time. Someone who was super fair skin, someone who was very dark, like myself, just many different types of beauty that society says that that we're not. And so in doing that, once I started writing that book, the editor kept asking me, well, why are you writing this? Why are you telling other people's stories? Because I had been accustomed to telling other people's stories.
Mhm.
And so the root of it all was that I was really struggling with these same things myself, struggling with self-worth, struggling to feel worthy. And so eventually, um, I came to the point that I needed to share my trauma the same way I had been encouraging other people to do it. The moment that I did that, I was free. Like just writing it down on the paper, I had no idea that it would set me free. I had no idea it would loose me. So the moment I started to hear other people say, can you tell me how to write a book? Can you show me? Can you do that? I recognize that I am sitting on an opportunity to help other people set themselves free. And it's one thing for someone to set you free, but it's another thing when you recognize that you have the power to set yourself free. So if I had a key to open that door, I was passing out keys left and right. And that's really what 13th and Joan is. I always say a book is a key that opens a door of opportunity. And that's where we are today. So that's the why, is to set free, set ourselves free.
I hope y'all heard that. I hope y'all listening. You got the key to set yourself free. Ha! I love that. I love that. And that's the other thing that really attracted me to your spirit, and just I mean, you feel your spirit in your images, in the way that your story is told, and just like your website, your branding, like it's all It's all very Audrey. And you know what that means. It's just it's like authentic, it's real, it's but it's also with a purpose and a vision and a mission and a goal. And I
Hmm.
always say like that's the point of art. Our art has to be a part of the larger conversation. That's what the show is about.
Yes.
That's what my everything is about. So and so you also have a vast background in activism. And so how do you see that kind of integrating with the work that you do with 13th and Joan and broadly?
You know what? Our stories are marginalized. I didn't even realize that this was activism. I just saw it as uh, resistance, but necessary. You know, the first time that I received a letter from a gentleman who had been turned away from one of the traditional publishing houses because there was not a market for his story. And his story
Hmm.
was about being a Black father. And I was like,
Wow.
how is there not a market for that? What do you mean? We need to see this. Like, I wish I would have seen that growing up. It would have been beneficial to me. So it made me recognize that we don't need to wait around to be invited to sit at other people's tables. We don't need to deem ourselves worthy based on someone else's standards, because we know that we need to tell our stories. We need to tell our stories like we need air, and we need to exchange our experiences. Right now in this country, when we think about what's going on, I can talk, and I have friends of every race, creed, color, whatever the lifestyle is. I have friends because I truly am a being who thrives on love. And so it's not about that. But during this time, I need to talk to somebody and share my experience with someone who understands my trauma of being a Black person in this country. And so we have to be able to have a home for our stories with someone who knows how to add seasoning to certain moments, with someone who understands how to edit the dialect that may not sound normal. No, all of this is not grammatically correct according to certain standards. But if this is what it takes to make sure that I'm communicating, girl, and I added three L's on the end, that is emphasis. That does not mean that it's not correct. And so, I'm not saying that that is all, but we just have to have a home for our stories. And so that's what 13th and Joan has become. And through that, that's advocacy, because I'm making sure that our blueprints for life, the greatness that we embody, our high moments, our imaginations, all of those things, that they're documented and chronicled in. So in my mind, that's definitely activism. I'm also on the front lines for the authors who might not have ever gotten an offer from a traditional publishing house. I'm making sure that those stories see the light of day, and in a quality way. So no one can say, "Oh, well, that's a Black publisher." We happen to be Black, but we create, quality literature. So that's our why.
Yes, we happen to be Black. It's so often we like there's I always ask people like why is there this idea of fear around Black folks in America, around all people of color really, and they were like the media, the
Hmm.
media, the media, and it's funny because you made the media. Like the white folks control most of the media right now, and so like they,
For sure.
so the way that they're telling the stories, it's interesting that they're like, we told this story about you. Like, aren't you not
No,
happy? You didn't feel that?
no, right,
It's the
right.
authenticity.
I mean, yes,
It's
it's
like
the authenticity for me. Okay,
for real, like, and
for
in the
real.
theater, so often they're like, well, we did the show that you got to be in it, you sang the song, like it was beautiful, like wow. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
so like I had to relive some trauma and you felt beautiful. I'm so happy for you. That's
Cheers, congratulations. It's just we have to be able to control our narrative. And I'm stressing to people, maybe on social media, people may be tired of it. I don't care. I won't stop saying it. This time that we're living in right now, this is history. This is an era that we must document, but we must document it to make sure that those who are coming after us understand how we were able to survive it. And so they understand how we thrived amidst everything that was happening. And only we can tell that. And so it's really important to me. And we have authors all races. We do. And we love
Mhm.
to love on people who have stories in their souls. But I just wanted to make sure that for certain there was a home that would not water down voices that have otherwise been marginalized. It's necessary.
Yeah, I love what you say, and I've watched a few of your other interviews, and this is like something you've been driving, and something. This is also why we're on the same wavelength, because I have taken this moment of pause in the world, in this industry, to just to make my own stuff, to take control of my own career, and to forge my own path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you are
Yeah.
talking about. You're like, we have to take charge of the narrative. We have to take charge of this moment, and like we have to capture this moment. And so, what? Just speak a little bit more about that and how you have capitalized on this moment specifically.
So one way that is just my own personal project is I've been working on this romance novel, and as much as I want to keep it romance, there is that activist in me. So I was like, you know what? We're going to dive into some of the issues that plague us. We're going to
Mm,
dive into colorism. Like the main character, she is very, very fair, often getting mistaken for being white, but she's African American. And the love interest very dark, and so their experiences in the world are very different. For that alone, we deal with colorism within our community, so there's that issue. There's also the issue of Black Lives Matter. There's a scene in the book where he the love interest, he has a restaurant, and his restaurant is plagued with the protests, and so it gets damaged. And we talked a lot about how do Black businesses wave our flag and say, hey, don't loot here. We don't have the same capacity to rebuild that some of the other
mhm,
businesses who have the investments in them do. So we deal with that. And so what I've done is I've really used this time to add it into the narrative to make sure that those are discussions that we're having. But what I try to do, I believe that when you want to entertain people, you have to get them there first. And whatever you're
mm,
getting them there with might not be like so very deep. It can be, but that might not get everybody there. I believe in let's entertain. I'm going to get you here to this book. But child, by the time you finish, you're going to be so full of, information and knowledge and inspiration and all those things. When you're done, you didn't even realize that that was what was happening. So I'm just
mhm.
really embedding a lot of messaging, a lot of the conversations that we have to have. And I'm using that book as a springboard. So that's just one thing personally. The other thing I did was I really took another leap of faith for an initiative I have called 100 Seeds of Promise. That was after I watched the video with Philando Castile. I won't ever forget it because it was something that you cannot forget. You're traumatized forever. I did not watch the George Floyd video for that reason. I couldn't stomach it. And so when I saw that video of Philando Castile, I thought I have to do something. And we all feel helpless at times like that. What can we do? So one of the things I noticed is that, well, Black men are not publishing their books. When we have our consultations, the majority of them are not Black men. And that means that our stories, Black men's stories, are not
Mm.
being carried through to fruition. They're not being documented. So 100 Seeds of Promise was my promise to get 100 Black men to be published authors and to give them the tools to be authorpreneurs, understanding the business of books. So we have those authors in cadres of
Entrepreneur.
25.
Sorry, I just wanted to. We gotta put a little pin
It
in that.
is
Entrepreneur.
authorpreneur, because
Okay.
yeah, like the business of books,
Mm-hmm.
not just writing because you feel good, but how are you going to write it, and how are you going to sell it, and how are you going to
Mm.
monetize that story? So that was the whole purpose of that, and it's going well. We have men who are crossing the threshold, on a monthly basis. I'm happy about that. So that is activism, and
Mm-hmm.
that got a lot of attention from press and media, especially during this time. So I was glad to give a voice there.
Yes, I love what you said about a story like having to be fun, and then but then you feel fed and full, like you went on a full. Because that's what I say to people all
Yeah,
the time. Is I'm like, that's life. Like there's
it
not a
is.
single day in your life where you're not like laughing at one moment, then on the brink of tears at one point, and then really mad, and then somehow peaceful. Like I woke up this morning, and I was like,
Oh,
new day. Like I don't
right,
know what that was, but like that was just my
right,
morning. And then the day went on, I was like,
right.
and then I got a little more anxious. Then I like ate a snack, and and then like I got a little emotional, and then I had another snack, and I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm good. I'm good. Like, but
Yes,
that's why it's fun to watch,
it's
and why
life.
it's fun to tell stories that way. That's life.
That's life. This is how life does treat us. Yes, it does. And the roller coaster. And I was even mentioning to someone like scrolling on your timeline will turn you schizophrenic because you're happy, because the emotions are all over. Somebody may be on Black Lives Matter and somebody else is trying to tell you how to level up, and somebody else is like, you need to rest. And so you have this, hodgepodge of emotions, and that's really what life is, and we have to learn how to deal with it and how to pace ourselves along the way.
Yeah. Um.
Yes.
Okay. Quick pivot before we end. Can we please talk about Crown Avenue, because I'm obsessed. It's
I'm obsessed.
so. What is Crown Avenue? And yeah, just let people know.
You know what? Honestly, I truly believe that when you are creative, there aren't limits to how you can create, and you may be better at some things than others. So, like, I wish I could draw. I cannot. I would love to be an illustrator. I can't. I wish I could sing. I cannot. Even though in the shower now she is fierce, honey. She can do a great rendition of any Whitney Houston song in the shower. But I digress. So,
You know,
I've
I
been
have a Whitney
wanting to
tapestry.
create.
I'm gonna have to show you my Whitney. I have a tapestry of Whitney Houston in my room.
Please show me.
I
I
may have
want
to
to
take
see.
you.
I'm
Okay.
obsessed with
Okay, keep talking. I'm gonna take you out there.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
This
So
has never
I
happened
have
in come
been
up
long
history. We're
obsessed.
going on an adventure, y'all.
Hello. I have been long obsessed with like weekenders and um envelope clutches and just, leather goods, right? So I was like, I need something fabulous to put my laptop in. That's really how it started. I need something fabulous to take my laptop with me. I take my laptop to a lot of places that people probably don't have theirs. Mine is with me at all times because I don't want to miss a story that I have to have to type. So, anyways, I started obsessing over these fabrics and hardware and all these things. And I said, okay, I'm going to create a line of laptop cases. Like, that's what it's just going to be, laptop cases. And then I was like, but you know what? I need a weekender because if I'm going on a trip, I need to put in a weekender. So I had all these things, and it just turned into an entire company. We have weekenders, we have laptop cases, we have passport holders, belts, vegan leather goods, Crown Avenue, and we are launching on 11/11, going live. I'm so excited because I want people to love it, but I love it. I'm like, this is the
Hmm.
stuff I cannot live without. You know what I mean? So it allowed me to be creative. And the thing that really drove me to push it forward was COVID. Because before I've been sitting on the idea for like 2 years. I've been working on it. But COVID, I was like, I'm gonna create. This is gonna make me happy. This is gonna give me some joy aside from all that's going on. And so I push forward and we're going live. And I've been getting great, but like I've launched businesses before, several, right? And this is one of the ones where people are like, take my money right now. Give it to me. I want to buy it. I want these colors. So I feel like we're on to something with this and I'm excited. So that's Crown Avenue.
That's amazing. I love it. Here's that. There's Whitney. I know you were talking about. I want you to get a good
Let
look.
me see what.
Oh, there she
Oh,
is.
listen.
Uh huh.
I'm super jealous.
She's beautiful. She costs fifty
I'm jealous.
dollars.
She's, what?
I know,
She's
right?
she's worth it.
Um,
She's worth it.
I love what you said about being an artist and not like limiting what that means for you, because so often people talk about like the multi hyphenate artist, and I'm like,
Oh,
and that's what people try and like box me. They're like, they're like, what? But what do you do? And I'm like, I make things.
yes.
Like that's
Right.
it. And so I love what you say
Yeah.
about like, and also creating out of necessity. Like you, like you were literally like, if I'm carrying this thing, it needs to look cute.
It needs to be fabulous. It's a statement, and I don't want to have a 5,000 different things. So yes, I do, but I will say that was the thing that I was most nervous about. Will people receive me in this space? Will they? She's the book lady. What is she? How dare she decide to be a creative director of something else? So I was really like, they're not going to come with me along this journey. But I made a post not that long ago, and I said, listen, I am an entrepreneur first. So I need you to allow me to have a journey that includes other avenues. And this is one of them. So I hope you'll come with me. If you don't, that's fine. If you only want to talk to me about books, absolutely. And I'll keep this page dedicated to that. But if you're willing, I'd love for you to come with me on another journey. I'm writing a new chapter. So that was my way of saying, okay, guys, this is for me to set myself free. My creative juice is free. And if you like it, great. If you don't, I understand. Because I know sometimes everybody wants to box people in. So that's what this is.
Yes, I love, you probably didn't mean to, but you were like, go down another avenue. And I was like, you better go down Crown Avenue. You better.
You better go down Crown. You better show up on Crown Avenue.
Come on. Ardre Orie, you're literally the best guest for tonight. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you. You got me out here in the bad lighting. Like, this never happens. This is amazing.
Oh no, honey, you would never have bad light with Whitney in the background.
Huh? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Ardre, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. Feel free to stick around backstage, but no pressure. But I'm gonna see you. I'll see you either way.
Yes, we shall. We shall.
Bye, Fred. Boom. There it is. That's our show. The come up has never traveled, y'all. Like, Ardre had me on one. Isn't she gorgeous? That rap, like, it was from top. I was obsessed. Sponsor Heidi Jostin, new sponsor this week. I appreciate you so much for your love and your constant support. It means the world. Everyone, I mean it. Take a break tonight. Don't go out there and drive yourself crazy, okay? We should have a few results coming in a couple of hours. Don't make that drive you mad. Don't try and predict and stuff. You don't know what's happening. We won't know what's happening until we know what's happening, okay? So right now, just get you a snack, sit on back, and just take a break. Take a break. Chill your mental. Watch this interview over again. It made me feel good. I think it'll make you feel good too. And go buy a book, 13th and Jones Publishing. And check out Crown Avenue when it drops on the 11th. See you next time.